Hey everyone, we are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Hi, Catherine.
This is a great subject that we're talking about today. Let me fix my cards while we're here. What do you do when something is just not right? What do you do when something is not in place? I tend to just take care of it at that moment. Like, oh, I saw that. I didn't like the way it looked. Excuse the back of my head. Let me fix that. I tend to take an action and look and observe when things are happening. What do you do when things just go a little bit haywire or out of control? How do you manage that? I know you're writing everything into well, while you're doing that, let me introduce myself. That way I'll take another 30 seconds. We're getting right into it tonight because we want to make sure that we just talk about this subject. My name is Catherine Asaro-Myers, affectionately known as Rara's in the House. It lifts me up when I say that, and I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. I am here with my amazing partner, Lori Delcradecki, as she does all the tech for us, makes sure that we have all the right things going at the right time. Lori is in Columbia, Tennessee, in the United States. Lori, how do you handle stress?
You know what I do a lot of times is I think, like, is it something I can control? Is it something that is within my control? Because if it is, then like you said, take care of it, fix it, get it done. Just, suck it up and get it done. Right. But a lot of times things that stress us out are not in our control. And then what do? You learn to manage it, right? Because if you can't control it, if that is out of your control, out of what you can do to fix, then you have to learn to manage your stress.
I really like to talk about workarounds. We may not know how to fix something. We can flip out about it, or we can look for a workaround. So we all have different ways of approaching things. If you troubleshoot anything in a career or a job, think about when we're in our send out cards account. I'll just talk about that. We want to send something and something's not working, or we don't know where to find it, or we're new to the system. What do you do when you're trying to figure something out? Well, you can go read a manual. I actually read the manual to my iPhone 6 Plus before I bought it. I downloaded the manual, I read it, and I thought, okay, I know how to remember the 6 Plus. Actually, do you remember the 6 Plus? It's actually right there. Before I bought that phone, I read them. So everybody approaches it differently. Then I bought it, and that was a big deal to go from a BlackBerry to an iOS. That was amazing. So I find a way to read about it and take action. So I sort of do it in motion. I learn, I read, I tap, I click. You have a really high follow through. You really go to the umpteen degree. I have a high follow through. You have a really high follow through, which leads us to get to where it is that we want to go a lot faster. So I love when you partner with someone who says, just go there, do that, try that. And you just trust and you go. We have such a wonderful way of dealing with solutions, coming up with solutions. I think when we look at a problem, we just look at like, how quickly can we get out of this? So it's great to take action. What about the person who just doesn't take action, right? Maybe they need to read the manual. And then they need to read it again. So what happens when someone just can't take that motion until they satisfy some other desire or need?
Yeah, well, you have to, the same thing, you have to look at, if you can control it, if it's out of your control, and if somebody else can control it, that because that's another thing too. If somebody else can fix it that then maybe you call them. So like I was at my my kid's house, my son's house with my little grandbaby, and their washing machine was acting up, right? So mommy was stressed out about it, and they didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to fix it. But guess what? I had a friend that knew how to fix it. So I texted him and asked him, when would you have time to come over and look at this for us? Texted him the model number of the machine and all that. He was there that day. 15, 30 minutes, he was done, had it fixed.
Right.
Been working ever since.
And that's a great way to look at it. So how do you handle stress? You can sit in the minutia of the problem. You can embrace the problem. You could let it overwhelm you, or you can look for ways out, solutions, not kicking and screaming ways out, but look for solutions. And sometimes a set of fresh eyes helps. When we talk about tech problems, like reboot, turn it off, turn it back on, go out and come back in, just see what happens then. How many times we're going live? Maybe it hasn't happened. I shouldn't say it. We've gone live and like a nanosecond before we're going live. It's like, what? Where am I? Why am I not where I want to be? Technology just has another plan for us. So if we do things enough in advance, we can handle that. Maybe one of the tips I would offer is, how do we handle stress? Is leave ourselves enough time. We used to get in the car more than we are now. And we'd say, well, what time do we have to leave? Well, what time do we have to be at a meeting? What time should I click on a button to enter a meeting if it's at 2:00? Should I be there at 2:05? If I say I'll be there around, or if I have a meeting at 2:00 sharp, should I show up at 2, or should I be there a few minutes earlier? Stress can be manifesting with all of these little things that we do during the course of the day, being 5 minutes late, being 10 minutes late, forgetting, not knowing, not looking. Then stress hits us, and then we don't know how to handle it. So I recommend to leave time to evaluate and assess before we freak out.
Right. Yes, exactly. And then what about like the stress that you don't have any control over and you don't know anybody that can fix it? Then what do you do? I know one thing I do is I just, like, a lot of times I just go on YouTube and I look for positivity, motivational video. And I play something, I listen to something. I have, you can do that. I have a lot that I've bought, that I've downloaded. But if you want a free option, go to YouTube and just do a search, because there's thousands out there, and just listen to one. And like, I like to hit like on anyone that I've listened to, because I'm whether I like it or not, I just hit like, so I know that I listened to it anyway. but and I usually do like them anyway. So I look for one that I haven't liked. And then I just play it.
Good tip. I also like to take, in the middle of something that might be stressful, I take a minute, I put on an oil diffuser. I usually ask Siri or Alexa or whoever I'm talking to at that moment to play a meditation playlist. And I will take a few minutes and smell some peppermint oil, or one of those great combinations, Rock On with Send Out cards. I love the oils that we have. And I'll take a few minutes and I'll sit down and I'll just take in that scent. I'll listen to something, even if it's 5 minutes, and somewhere my mind will clear. And in that clearing will be space for me to come up with what I need to come up with. And
I know what else you do too, right? Because I was waiting for you to even say it. So, because you did the motion of doing it, but you didn't say it, but you still made the motion of doing it. But because it's so natural for you, right? As you breathe in deep through your nose and out deep through your mouth.
I do. You're absolutely right. And I do something called a lion's breath too, where I breathe in And then you act like a lion and you just let it out, and you let it out with the sound, and it just releases anything that's inside. And if you really want to get funny, go look in the mirror and do that lion's breath, and you just let your tongue hang out and you just look like a lion and you just laugh. And breathing really brings everything to another motion. There's one thing about taking the action, but it's the motion in our body, the way the energy flows. In case there's sort of a stuck mindset, it just keeps going. There are times, you get a flat tire, something, my phone died. There are times that something happens that you're like, what am I going to do? Well, I think you just say, what's the next thing that I can do? I can sit and worry about it, or I can just say, do I go to the store? Do I call someone? Or do I just go and eat dinner? Like, what is it that I'm going to do to take care of myself so that I don't let this thing upset or bother me? I believe when you have a partner, when you have a friend, a spouse, a relative, or someone that you can call, no judgment, and say, what's this thing? And you can just be yourself. And that person can just jump right in and be with you. That's probably the best solution for me, is to partner up with people that are real. Lori, you and I do this all the time. We do not need any preamble. We can go right to the point and answer each other as if we're in the same room at the next a chair away. When you find someone like that in your life, cherish them, hug them, hold them, send them cards, brownies, flowers, anything that you want. Let them know how valuable they are, because that person is probably the one that's going to stop you from flipping out, because you can call them even if they don't have an answer. And they're there to say, yeah, let's look at it. And you're not alone.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of times you need that. You need someone that is that outside of the box picture that can just talk you off the ledge, yes, that can just put a little bit of sense into your mind, because we all lose it at times, right? I mean, we all like this problem, and it went from this to this within seconds, right, in our head. And so, I used to joke and say, I don't watch TV because I can dramatize stuff in my head all by myself. I don't need TV to enhance it, right? But, a lot of times we need that. And because a lot of times when we are in our little box, it's so hard for us to see on the outside. But when you have someone on the outside looking over and looking in, they can see so perfectly. And that's just one perfect thing that, like, we do this free coaching every single Monday night. But we also have a small coaching group where we coach and train every week. We go into our private dining room, which we're fixing to do in just a moment. And then we also have private coaching that we do with a lot of our clients. And they call in, and a lot of times they have issues like that, where they just need to talk it out. And they just need someone from the outside over that can look in and see kind of like a reasoning to it that can kind of just help us through it.
So what you're saying is get a good coach. And on that note, we are going to go into our private dining room. And if you have any questions for us, you can post them below this video or send them directly to us. And if you'd like to get with us sooner rather than later because something just came up, you can go to our website. You can directly book an appointment with us, or you can just send us a message live on Facebook and we will get back to you.
Yes. So if you're in our private coaching clients, come to our dining room. You know the code. If you don't, send us a message. If you're interested in that or interested in the one-on-one coaching or two-on-one coaching, go to our website at gratitudegirls.com/coaching. We'll see y'all next week.
Ciao.